morning. arTour acknowledges and pays respects to the traditional owners of the lands where we meet and work, the Yagara and Turrbal clans in Meanjin, Brisbane. First Nations people are the original storytellers and artists of these lands, and we honour the rich cultural contributions they bring to our sector. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Tanya and this is Laura, and we are producers at arTour. arTour is Queensland's Centre of Contemporary Touring Knowledge. We work to support performing artists and producers to tour regionally, ensuring there is great art experiences offered to Queensland audiences. We also work with presenters to deliver local councils' arts and cultural policies. We believe strong professional networks empower creative communities. I am part of a team of 4 producers. Joe and Julie are hiding at the back, who collectively work with us to make up the equivalent of 2 full-time roles. We are happy to assist you with touring. Today, I'll be sharing some information about this year's Queensland Touring Showcase, and we'll also walk you through the application process. There will be an opportunity to ask questions at the end of this presentation. Please use the Q&A panel on your screen, and if we don't get to your questions today, we will be in contact after the webinar. You can also contact arTour at any time via hello@artour.com.au. A recording of today's webinar with subtitles will be available on the arTour website next week in the resources section in case you want to go back and look at it. This year, Queensland Touring Showcase has been split into 2 events. Adapt, the conference part, was held in partnership with Stage Queensland on the 8th and 9th of June in the Ipswich Civic Centre. We were very lucky that we managed to get an in-person event in, and we understand how important that is in this current time. The 2-day event allowed producers and presenters to come together to network, listen to panel discussions, review sector insights, and reflect and exchange learnings on the COVID-19 pandemic. The second part is, of course, the pitching session, which will be taking place online on Wednesday, the 27th of October. So make sure that date is in your diary. So what is Showcase Online? The purpose of Showcase is it's a digital pitching event profiling the best performing arts touring work Queensland has to offer. While the focus is primarily on touring work, we also consider works in development, works looking for collaborators, new models of touring, showcasing development frameworks, and community engagement focused works. The key is that the works need to be ready for touring in 2023. So who comes along? Well, anybody is welcome, but it's primarily focused at Queensland presenters from across the state, with a focus on the managed venues and the regional councils. However, we do invite regional festivals, volunteer arts councils, and alternative arts venues that we have connections with. How does it work? Applications are now open and will close on Friday, the 20th of August. Applications are reviewed by an independent moderation panel. The panel is made up of a diverse combination of presenters, producers, arts lovers, and industry experts who will review all the applications and create a short list of approximately 20 productions who will receive a pitch at Showcase. arTour notifies all the applicants of the outcomes on Friday, the 17th of September. Successful applicants will then have 1 week to accept their invitation to pitch. An information webinar with the successful applicants will be held on about Tuesday, the 28th of September, where we'll talk about the pitching process. The full schedule will be announced and registrations will open on Friday, the 1st of October. The expectation is that presenters will have done their homework and come to the session with knowledge of the work that's being pitched. So you're not pitching your work to them cold. They will know some background and some information. arTour will work with the shortlisted productions and provide documentation to these presenters to make sure that they are ready. The event is then on Wednesday, the 27th of October. The format, it's looking like we're going to have 2 online sessions. There'll be approximately 90 minutes. With probably 10 productions being pitched in each session. The presenters will have reviewed the information before, and it's a chance for them really to get to understand your work better and get some insider knowledge on what they can't just pick up from the website. Each pitch will be about 5 to 6 minutes long, and you are encouraged to provide slides, videos, and scripts in advance. So where are we all at? Well, we are very much still in a pandemic. Queensland is slightly ahead of the rest of the country, and in fact the world in so many ways. But what we are referring to in Queensland is that we are in a COVID recovery stage. Touring is about sustainability, growth, employment, and tourism. Touring has always been risky, but the risks have been heightened during this COVID recovery phase, and we are seeing that on a daily basis. The future of touring is unknown, but we still need to plan as we want to make sure that we have stuff to enjoy in 2 years' time. The way we have toured in the past is not necessarily the way we will be touring in the future. National, state, and local government funding is changing frequently, and there's a lot of talk about different touring models. So we're not really sure what the future will look like. We are seeing venues and producers working better than before, though, and this is a wonderful change in the sector. We are also seeing a newfound respect for who we are as a state and the talent that we have right here on our doorstep. We are all exhausted, but we are also optimistic of what the future might become. Who knows what 23 will look like, but we need to accept that we aren't going back to 2019. Some things to keep in mind. Arts Queensland have announced their 10-year roadmap. So if you're not familiar with this, it would be advantageous to get yourself a cuppa, sit down and have a read of that document. The LPA has also developed some wonderful touring guidelines, which are an invaluable guide and will help you navigate the touring landscape in this uncertain period. Back to Showcase, what are we looking for? We are looking for works by Queenslanders for Queenslanders. We're looking for work by First Nations artists, people with disabilities, people of culturally and linguistical backgrounds, and people of colour. We're looking for buy now works that are ready to tour, which means there's no remount required. We're also looking for works that have premiered, but by 23 may require a remount. We're looking for large works, small works, and everything in between. If you can create it, we're interested in hearing about it. We have concepts in development work, so shows that haven't yet premiered, but by 23 will have, or touring with engagement-focused residency and community participation. There's a lot more of a focus on the local and engaging with communities, so we're finding a big shift into this space. The works that get submitted will be put out to an external panel, as I've mentioned before. They go against a criteria, so the team of assessors will be assessing your work against the criteria you can see up on the screen now. So rigor and quality, the production is well conceived and put together, and it's amongst the best of its kind in Queensland. Distinctiveness, the production is interesting and different to other shows of the same genre. Appeal, the production will have a strong appeal to audiences, not just your mum. The value, the production is reasonably priced and represents a sound programming investment or value for money. Most managed venues will ticket shows to make income from the box office, but a lot of communities will also offer it free, so they need to ensure that they're not over-investing. So with all this in mind, and before you start filling out an application, you really need to think, are you ready? Are you market ready? What does that mean? You need to have a clear concept. Know your show and your audience and articulate that in your application. If your show is a cabaret, then call it a cabaret. Do you have a unique selling point? What makes your show different or sets you apart? Find the hook that presenters will use to sell your work and think about why your show is the one amongst all the others that are very similar. Who is your audience? Do your homework and tailor your work accordingly. While work can be enjoyed by anyone, most works do fall within a demographic that best suits it. Some people love audience participation, others do. So think about what you are asking from your audience that you want to come along. What is your availability? Don't say you can tour all year round if you work full time and can actually only take 4 weeks off. Flexibility is one thing, but you need to be realistic and upfront. There's no point committing to something that is going to become problematic down the track. Relevance. Think about the landscape, think about the timeframes, think about what you are creating. If it's for something right now, will it still be relevant in 23? Likewise, maybe you're creating something now that people aren't ready for, but by 23, there will be the perfect audience for that. Do you have the means? Marketing materials. We talk a lot about marketing materials, and I by no means am a marketing expert. However, what you can provide in marketing is going to help you sell your show. Do you have photos and videos? Are they of high quality? Do you have a promotional video, a snippet of your work being performed? They are two different things. There is a video that you can produce to sell your work to an audience, and there is a snippet of your work that you can send to presenters to help them purchase your work. It could be a reading or a dress rehearsal that shows an aspect of what the show really is in its essence. It doesn't have all the lights and glamour. Any video that you do provide, however, look at how it's password protected, because if it does have a password on it, that creates a barrier and makes it difficult for people to view. So you don't want to be following up with everybody every time they want to look at that. Have a clear understanding of how to market your work. And if this needs to be a joint effort, you can't just rely wholeheartedly on the venues to do all the work for you. You know your work and can talk about your work better than anyone. The venues know their audience and what they want to see. Collectively together, you can get the best for everybody. Technical requirements. You need to be clear with your technical requirements. The venue needs to know what they are up for from the front, how many crew they need to have, how long you need in the venue. The more accurate you can be with this information, the better working relationships you will have with the venue and the venue staff. Venues need to are responsible for the crewing costs, and they also have report boards that they need to report to. So if they are aware of all the costs up front, they can put a better budget to their management lines, which can ensure the show is more likely. No one likes to see budget surprises. Talking about budgets, this is the trickiest part of any good show. Have a clear budget and show your pricing and work through it. The more accurate you can be, the better it is. Your show needs to be reasonably priced and needs to offer value for money. No one is sitting on a pot of gold just waiting to throw it at you. Once you agree on a price, there is little room for change it, and you might find yourself out of pocket. Keep in mind that, once again, a lot of presenters have to have this all signed off by management lines before they can proceed, so they can't just add another $500. Jo loves doing budgets, so if you need any help, please ring us up at arTour, and she is very happy to find all the problems in your budget, because that's what she is an expert at. The presenter pack. This is a great place to start, and it allows you to collate all your information in one place and see what's missing. It gives you a good overview of the whole package. In this, you should consider your community engagement approaches as well as your workshops and everything that goes together. You want people to come and see your show, but what are you offering them in for exchange? Consider how you can engage a broad section of the community. If you have a show that is directly designed for young children, is there something in there that can support adults who come with those children, or that, you know, can enhance the experience beyond just the show? It might seem very daunting, but the more work you put in initially to consider all this information and put it all together, the easier your exchange will be with presenters. We have a whole bunch of templates on our website that are available for you to use. And of course, we are here to help you if you need a hand. I'm now going to hand over to Laura, who has patiently been listening to me, and she's going to go through the website and the process of the applications.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
I'm going to move a tiny bit closer to the screen because even with glasses, my eyes just aren't working quite the way they used to. So I'm just going to walk you through how to submit your show, put it up on our website, and then link it so that it's you can apply for Showcase. So on the website, you have to put your show up on our website for it to be considered for Showcase. So you'll need to log in. If you don't have a login, the registration is very simple. It's just your name and an email address and a password. And once you've logged on, you can submit your show. So we're just going to do a little example. If you already have a show on the website, just go through the back end anyway and check that all the information is still relevant. It's all updated and ready to go. So some of you may already done this process, but please double check your work that's already online, make sure it's relevant. Keep in mind that the presenters and selection panel are always keen to see new work that hasn't been pitched at Queensland Touring Showcase, Roadcase, or national markets in the past. So if you're not already on our website, that's okay. We just need that show uploaded first. If you experience technical difficulties, we suggest that you double check your browser is the most current version available. Also, Chrome and Firefox tend to work a little bit better than Safari, so be sure to use a browser that's reliable. And as I'll say a million times as we go through this, you need to save your work as it goes so that you don't have to keep doing it over and over again, which is never fun. All right, so here we go. Once you've logged in, you're going to put your company name at the top. And then there's a place for you to put your company website. If you don't have a website, that is fine. You can leave that section blank. You're going to put a bit of a history and a bio about your company. So this isn't about your individual production. This is about your actual production company as a whole first. Once you've done that, you can go down to the primary contact details. Now, these details are published on our website, so make sure whoever details are there, that firstly, they're correct, and secondly, that that person knows that they're publicly on our website. The secondary contact details, are not live on our website. This is just for if we need to contact you in the primary, I don't know, maybe you're having a nice holiday and we need to contact you and we can't get a hold of you, we can contact the secondary person. Just make sure as well your preferred contact method is correct, just so if you don't want people calling you or you prefer email, we can make sure we adhere to your requests. Postal address is quite self-explanatory. Your postal address, this is, sorry, it's only visible to our staff. It's not published on the website. So that's just for us. And then you need to save. Please save, 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 save. This is the fun section now where you get to put in all the lovely information about your fabulous productions, including the title, which is very important. And then you go through and connect and click what art forms your performance falls under. Please be realistic. Don't just click all of them because you think the more the better. It's really important that it's quite specific so we know exactly what your performance is. If it doesn't fit into one of those boxes, that's fine. There's space down the bottom for you to just let us know where you think it falls in terms of genre. Your synopsis does get published on the website. So once you've put that in, make sure it's spell checked, make sure the sentence constructions are great. If we go in and we notice that there's a few little things, we'll fix them up for you, but generally you need to make sure that's looking pretty good. You can also have some tips. There's 5 top tips for writing your show synopsis. So go through those, have a look. All of our website, shows on our website have synopses as well. So you can go through, have a read, see which ones you think are effective and grab your attention and help to model your own. Your marketing tagline is a bit like a byline. It sort of sits under on the website. It sits under your under the title of your production. So it's just a little hook, a little grab. So if we've got one here, there. So Hot Mess Mama is the name of the show, and then the line is Emma Dean is Mama Earth, and she's a hot mess. So it's a fabulous show, but that byline will sit on the website for everyone to see. It's a good hook to grab people's attention. Age group, again, this is really important. We know, for example, if you've got an amazing children's book that you're turning into a live piece of theatre, we know it's going to be suitable for teenagers, but that doesn't mean you're aiming at them, that we're marketing to, secondary school age students. So this really is your target demographic, not just who might come along and see it. Same with audiences. Again, this is like just narrowing down if your performance has a particular demographic. You can highlight that. If not, that's fine. If it doesn't fit into the box, there's always space for you to add in your more specific information down the bottom. This one is really important about what is unique about your show. So if you are doing, I'm just going to take Tanya's example of a cabaret. If we're doing a cabaret, what sets your cabaret apart from anyone else who might be coming forward with a cabaret? What's your point of difference? What makes it unique and special? So this is a place where you can really flesh out those different offerings or the point of difference your performance has. What will help to sell the show? This is any resources you have. So if you've got a great educational kit, if you've already got some marketing materials, if you've got any footage, any images, digital assets, this is just anything you have that will help to support the show. And they will show up here. As you can see, there's a section on your webpage for marketing and extra supplies. And then we go down to your community engagement. As Tanya said, especially with our current landscape, community engagement is really important, and it is something that's been sought out a little bit more than perhaps it has in the past. So if you have any community engagement opportunities, if you can do workshops before, after shows, any other extra bits you can add on. So it's outside of your performance itself. So anything else you can add on, workshops, question and answer sessions at the end, behind the scenes tours, any little things you can add on that will really enhance the experience for the community that you're visiting while you're on tour.
I think too, there could be like not everything has to be included. So it could be we can run a masterclass for an additional cost.
Yes.
Or, while we're in town, we have experts in, singing, vocal, instrumentation, and they can do private, classes, or they can work with other stuff. So you might have one workshop that's very generic that goes for free, and then you've got a whole lot of add-ons or extras that, sit outside of that.
Yeah, it can definitely be additional offerings. Availability to tour. Please be realistic with these dates. Like Tanya mentioned before, you know, if you put that you're available for 5 years, that means we assume that you have got your life planned for 5 years, which I certainly don't, but you might. And then you can put those dates in. The until date is also the date it will be archived from our website. So whenever your tour date is until, that's the date that your production then gets archived. Technical requirements. So we've come up with a matrix. So if you click on that system there, you will see it's a very clear matrix to help give your show a technical rating. A is the most sort of complex in terms of your technical requirements. D is your simple, we just bring a PA system and that's sort of all we need. You can read that for yourself, but it will help you to figure out where you sit in terms of your technical capabilities. Again, be realistic. It's really important that this is communicated clearly to presenters. So you just tick whether it's A, B, C, or D, or the production can be modified if you've got something that's a little bit flexible and can be negotiated.
Because I think we're seeing more and more of people have flexible, like they have like, you know, the full scale everything, but they can also just do a pop-up version in, you know, a much smaller venue. So, you know, I think there's like the ideal, but we can also accommodate, you know, A, B, and C.
Yeah, it just means we can cater for everyone, which is always nice. Duration and interval. So the duration of your show, if it's in development, you might not know this information. That is fine. Interval, we had this discussion yesterday. Sometimes venues love intervals because it's a chance to go and get a snack and a drink from the bar. But during COVID, we've tended to see shows prefer not to have interval. So again, if you're not sure, that's fine at this stage. If you do know if it's optional, that's always a good indication for presenters as well. So this is really the format that you need to perform the show. Are you looking at performing in a traditional theatre? Can you go into halls? Do you need a black box venue? Can you perform outdoors? Just gives us an indication of the type of venue required for your performance. And then number of people in the touring party. This is really important that you get this right too. It's not just about how many performers are on stage, it's how many people are actually going to be on the road with you. So if you're taking along a theatre technician, if you're taking along a driver, all those extra people need to be accounted for to make up the total number of people that are going to be on the road.
I think if you have creatives coming or something to the venue, they don't count in that. So if you've got a director going to the first venue, they're not included as your touring party members. So you might say we have a touring party of 10, but the director will drop into 2 of the venues or something. So I think, you know, if you have, even if you have some creators popping in or doing bits and pieces, they're not part of that.
It's the core people that are going to be on the road traveling with you, helping with the outcomes. Yeah. Has your work been created in Queensland? Yes, no, or if you're not sure, that's also fine. We can get, we've had a bit of a giggle over this one instead, we're like, oh, maybe, I don't know. If you're not sure, that's fine. We can call you to discuss the complexities around that. What do presenters need to know if they buy this show? So I think we're just going to pop to the website and have a look. There's a little space. If you've got anything specific about your show, you can see here this one has just a few extra details that it's important for presenters to know, just so they know if it's accessible for them or not. So if you require UV lighting or any really specific requirements, rigging, that sort of thing, you can pop it in there and it will be visible on your website so people know what to expect. Bump in, whether you can bump in the same day, so whether you can bump in the morning and be ready to do a show that afternoon or night, whether you need a whole day to bump in and then you perform on the second day, or if you need a 2-day bump in and then you perform on the 3rd day, just choose which one is best for you. Maximum amount of shows you can perform in a week. So you can pop your number in there. We won't necessarily hold you to that. The most I think we do in a week is maybe 5 realistically, just because Queensland geographically such a large state with all the travel. We tend not to be able to fit 12 venues in a week. So we won't hold you to this number. It just gives us an indication and helps us with your costing and your budget.
I think it's also too, it's probably a bit more of how many shows could you do if you were in a venue. So if you went into the season at QPAC, you could do 8 shows a week. Like you said, in reality, you're not going to do 8 shows in 8 different venues, or even, you know, in 3 different venues. So that number will come down, but I think that's more based on how many you can do if you are in situ. Yeah.
Cost, you can decide if you want to put your cost as a per week or per performance. So per week fee is we cost X amount of dollars per week, and then we would divide that up amongst how many performances you have. or you can say this is how much we are per show, and then we times that by how many performances you do in a week. So it's just a personal preference of what you would like to put there.
I think that goes back to the performances per week. So if you're saying you need $2,000 per week, but you have to do 8 shows a week to make your per week fee, that's not realistic. So you're better off saying we need to make $12,000 a week, and then that breaks down. So if we only do 3, the show has to be sold at a higher price.
Yeah. Your remount cost is so if you have had a show and it might have premiered a little while ago and it's sitting in storage at the moment, you want to bring it back or revamp it, it's just a cost. Like you might say, well, we need, we haven't performed in a while, we need an extra week to just have some rehearsals, get it up on its feet, replace some costumes, replace some of the set, do some touch-ups. That's the cost that covers that. So it's not a creative development amount, it's the amount of we have a show, and to get it back up and running and to get us ready for the stage, this is how much it's going to cost. Your royalties need to include any creative royalties, as well as any copyright or music licensing has to be included in those royalties. As a general rule of thumb, anything over 10, sometimes presenters can get a little bit, that's a bit high. So just bear in mind that anything over 10% is looking a bit high for Queensland presenters. We do have a template for your budget. As Tanya says, budgets are tricky. They're not as fun. Well, I don't find them as fun. Some people do. I don't find them as fun as writing in all your production details, but they need to be accurate. We will contact you if we do see anything that's a little bit bizarre in the budgets. And like I said, Jo's here. She's an expert at budgets to help you. Just making sure that like you're paying the performers the correct amount, and you can help to the LPA to help you with those guidelines of how much you should be paying your performers, your per diems, your allowances, and other bits and pieces.
I'm pretty sure your budget when it gets uploaded here isn't live. So
no, it's not live. No one else will see it. It's just for us to have a look at. So yeah, it's not live on the website for everyone to scrutinize and analyze, but it certainly just gives us an indication of where things are sitting. We have a template, which is great. You can use that, or you can use your own. That's up to you, but make sure it's uploaded. Resources. This is great if you've got like a little YouTube clip or video. This will go on to the website. I'll show you where this turns up. We've got one on your front cover image down there in the box, that's where the video goes. So make sure it's something you're happy to go public for public to see, and make sure it really puts your performance in a good light, just so that it's used for promotional materials, not sort of just for reference. You've got a place to put your presenter pack. Again, we have a great template for this. This does go to presenters who are interested in your show, so make sure that it's accurate, detailed. We'll show you some examples of this in a second, a bit later on. So you can use our template, use your own, make sure all the details are there, and then you just upload it there. Socials, place to put your Facebook, your Instagram, your Twitter, whatever format or forum you use. There's lots now, so feel free to pop them up, and they all get linked down the bottom of your webpage. Only hashtags as well. You can have hashtags if you would like that. But please press save, 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 save. Images. So your thumbnail image is the smaller sort of box image that appears on our homepage. I think we're going to go and so this is your thumbnail image. So make sure it's the right size, because if it's not the right size, it will get cropped and then it will look a bit bizarre just because it's got to fit within that shape for our website. So that's the thumbnail. And then your header image is the big one that appears on your page, like so. Again, just making sure they're the right size and shape for the top, and make sure they're eye-catching quality photos.
Well, it's nice to have a couple that show different aspects of the show.
I think it's nice to have a few that can scroll, then we can scroll through and show it in slightly different dimensions. You can then preview your images, so make sure you have a look and see what it looks like before submitting it to us, just to make sure everything is working fine. You save your images, save, save, save. Reviews. If you have premiered your show and you've got some lovely reviews, feel free to add them. It's always nice to have some positive feedback about performances. They appear down here for people to read and presenters to read when they visit your site. If your work hasn't premiered or it's in development, you don't have reviews, that is totally fine. That is not a problem. You can just leave that section, hit save. Tours. So this is active tours. So this is any performances you have coming up. So if you've got a few shows coming up in the near future, you can put the dates and locations in so people can see where you're going to be. That's what happens there. They pop up online here. So you can see, oh, this is what's happening, this is where we're performing. But obviously only for the future. Don't put ones that you've had in the past. So this is the showcase and roadcase form. So this is the page that will then trigger it to arTour to say, actually, we'd like to be considered for showcase. Has your work been created in Queensland? Yes or no? The reason we ask this is because one of the funds we use to cover the touring costs, one of the requirements is that you are a Queensland-based artist. So that's why we ask this very specific question. The type of presenters or audiences, so a managed venue, arts festivals, community presenters, remote communities, or in school or education. So just tick which one applies to you. Is your production by now? So we can pick up the phone and say, hey, we're ready. We've got someone who wants you in next week, and you can go, yeah, great, and off you go. Is it tour ready? It's premiered and it's ready to tour, but it might need a remount. Touring with engagement focus, if you have residencies, slow touring because you need to spend a week in the community working with the community before putting on the show, or community participation's involved, or if your show's a concept and it's not yet fully developed. Is your work created by regional artists, so artists that live outside of Southeast Queensland, created by First Nation artists or for First Nation audiences, by or for people with a disability, by or for people from cultural or linguistically diverse backgrounds? Are you flexible in a post-COVID environment? Is there a way we can adapt your show to make it work around these restrictions that come and go? And can you deliver in alternative spaces? Can it be indoors, amphitheatres, outdoors? Can we adjust it for different venues? Any other places that you have marketed your show or pitched your show, you can list them here. And also there's a space if you've already got interest in your show, you've already got some people on board, let us know. That's always helpful information. Anything else you want us to know, really, can go in here. This does go to the selection panel, so whatever comments you write in there don't just go to us, but they go to the selection panel, so just bear that in mind.
And this is the page that's only available at the moment. Like this closes in August.
Yes, so this closes in August. If you want to be considered for showcase and roadcase, you need to submit this part. You need to save. Then you can preview, and that will let you go through your whole application, make changes, check everything, triple check, everything's looking good. Then you have to hit submit to arTour. If you don't hit that, we don't get notification and we can't approve your show for the website, and we can't accept the showcase application. So make sure you submit to arTour so we can go through and review. Great. So then we do have these are some great examples. So Owl and the Pussycat, I think this is a presenter pack. This is a great example of a presenter pack. It's graphically designed to look beautiful, but also the information's relevant. It's in depth. It's everything you need to know about the performance. It's really easy to pick up and have a great understanding of what is required from the presenters, and also what the producers will provide, and what the outcomes are. So this is a fantastic, if you want to see a great example. This is Leotard. Just open up there. They're all slightly different. You can make them your own, as long as all the key information is in there. Feel free to make it yours so that it reflects your company and your performance. These are just some standard template, some good examples that are well thought out and well fleshed out and completed that you can use to help create your own. Birth and Death of Stars by Mazaza is also a great one to look at.
It's very simple. All on one page, but
yeah, this one's just a one page. So again, you just make it your own. It doesn't, use our template as a guide. Yeah, great. We've got go over some key dates. Submissions close the 20th of August. So get those submissions in. Notification for inclusion in Showcase will be on Friday, the 17th of September. We'll have an information session for those productions and companies that are successful on Tuesday, the 28th, just on how the pitching session will work. pitches, pitch schedule and registrations will open on the 1st of October. And of course, the pitch is on Wednesday, the 27th, which is exciting. So that brings us to the end of the presentation. We're just having a look, see if any questions. If you do have any questions, you want to pop them in the Q&A before we say goodbye, feel free. Our recording will be on our website with subtitles next week. We're just having a quick look and seeing if there's anything come through. Can't talk and read at the same time. No. Okay. Well, that concludes today's webinar. Thank you for attending. Oh, no, wait, we've got one. Just in the nick of time. He's trying to get out.
If the show's concept, we won't have pictures, videos.
So yeah, if the show is a concept, we won't have any videos or photos or anything. That's completely fine. Like obviously concept work is treated very differently to produced work. So if it's a concept work, you might have even just like an artist impression design, you might have something like that. But because you tick the concept box, it gets treated in a very different space. And of course, you know, you're not expected to have all that sort of stuff. Once again, with the concept type works, we do need to look to go, is it still going to be a concept by 23 or is it going to be there? So while you might not have the stuff to show now, you could say, this is premiering in March next year, you know, and by the middle of next year, we will have all the stuff that you require.
We have another question that's come through. The show is set in rural England, but could be adapted to Aussie. Fantastic. That's no problem at all. You can put that in your notes section, in your comments, or in the additional information section on the form. Just put in how it might be adapted to an Australian landscape or climate. That's no problem at all. Is the cost fee per week or performance section, does that include artists' fees and crew? Yes.
Yeah, so pretty much that's exactly what it does cover. So your per week performance fee is pretty much how much it costs you to pay all of your artists, your crew, and yourself as a producer, what that all looks like. So don't include in there your production hires, don't include your accommodation, don't include all of that sort of stuff. It's purely your costs, your running costs to put that show on. The rest of it then gets added on top based on where you're going and can change.
Did that answer that? Is the number of days you can perform between? Look, I'd put 5. I think three seems.
The number of days you can perform is between 3 and 5. Which should you put in? So I'm not 100% sure, Karen, exactly what you're asking. Do you mean you can do 3 shows? You can only perform 3 days in a row before you need to have a rest, or you can perform every day for 5 days? I'm not 100% sure exactly what you're asking there, but yes, really, most artists under the LPA can work for 6 days until they're required to have a day off. Yeah. So it just depends. Like you might sort of kind of go, it's like opera singers are a very perfect example where they do a very big sing, but they can't then sing every day. So they have to sing every second day, or, they sing a major role one day and a minor role the next day just to allow their voice recovery time. So I think it's more about that. But yes, if you can only do 4 days in a row and then your 5 days and then you have to have a weekend, so you have to have 2 days rest because of the nature of what's required, then I think, yeah, you can put that in. Karen,
I think that's something that you would do as part of the touring schedule. So I just put how many shows you can do in a week, and then maybe in the notes to arTour and the panelists put, I can do 5 shows a week, but I need a day off in between each show, or what that specific requirement is in the notes. But in that section, put how many shows you could do in a week total, and then the more specific details about how you'd want those shows spread out in the comment section.
It's also about, some people kind of go, they can do 2 shows a day. They could do a 3rd show a day, but only twice a week. So, they don't go over their maximum. So if it's a children's show or something like that, So I think there's a lot of things in play there. But yes, I would look at whatever your absolute maximum is and put that in.
And we negotiate that anyway. We don't hold you to this. We don't go, but in your application, you said you were doing 12 a week. That's flexible and negotiable once we get up to scheduling some of the tours.
Yeah. I think I saw someone asked if they could do more than 1 application. Yes, you definitely can. So you can put in as many applications as you want. Just do it you can't do them all on one page. So you have to log each one individually. So go through the process, for every show you want to put up, but it's no problem to put in as many as you have the time and energy to.
And definitely press save, or else you'll be
Hit save.
you'll be doing it twice as many times.
Have we missed any?
I think that's it. Is that it?
I think that's all. Anyway, like I said, if anyone has any more questions or any concerns, reach out to us, hello@artour.com.au. Otherwise, you can call through, and I think we're number 2 on the switch if you're ring through our number. But yeah, thanks so much for coming today. And like I said, we're here to help. So if you whatever your questions, just call us up. No questions silly. We're happy to help. We're happy to talk it through and help you as best we can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Thanks, guys.
See you soon.
See ya.